we had a weed it rep out here the other day, and he thankfully was here to help us figure out where exactly all the pieces go. So this is all the bracketry and plumbing for the weed it system. We finally got about 95% of what we need. There's still a little bit left that's coming, but not quite here yet. So he quickly helped mock up some of the pieces to kind of give us an idea of what we need to do. So there's going to be a lot of slowly installing piece by piece to assemble this thing. We see we got a lot of boxes left with goodies in them and a bunch of hardware here. So when we get to it, one of us will go through and start putting everything and assembling it. The other guy will come through with the impact and the end wrench and start tightening up as much as we can. And then when we get it all assembled, we'll put the harnesses on, get these booms where they're now 95% completed, and then we'll get them out of the building and onto the brute and start the process of figuring out how we're gonna hang them on the brute, figure out how they're gonna suspend, and get all that. And these two boxes right here, these bad boys. This one sensor right here is $3,500, and there's like 30 of them. Figure that number out in these two boxes. So you could either have a brand new Corvette decked out, fully loaded, or those two boxes. What would you pick? But with that, these two boxes are going to save us a tremendous amount of money that'll add up to a lot of Corvettes in value over the next few years. So that's the plan. Update on the boom. So how we're sitting, we've got the wet bar, call it the wet bar, the stainless steel pipe with all the solenoids and nozzle bodies attached. Nothing's bolted down tight. I don't know if I said it earlier, but we're gonna keep everything loose. So, reason for that is everything's gotta be really in line with the sensors, if that makes sense. You've gotta have the sensors particularly in line with each nozzle, so that way the sensor tells the nozzle the correct spot when to fire, if that makes sense. So you've got to have slop and all the bracketry, so when it comes time to line it all, we can move stuff around, shift stuff. But it's all on the booms, that's what matters. We haven't gotten the harnesses on yet. I think we might wait till we get the booms on the sprayer before we do that. Here's the nozzle bodies. So there's the solenoid. This system we'll be able to do like what do they call it? As applied, or singularity, so it can actually turn on and off each individual nozzle as needed. So there will be turn compensation, and you'll be able to increase and decrease your rates with the pulsing of the nozzles. These pulse at 50 hertz, which is pretty stinking fast. And this also has a dual nozzle setup, so for some reason the electronic side of things quits working, like your nozzle or your solenoids here, you can switch it over by turning the valve on the top here and run just a regular broadcast nozzle if you want to go back to the old school. So that way you always have the backup to run this as if it was before we put all this stuff on here. So, and then of course then there's the single ones right here. So it goes a dual, single, dual, single. It's in 10-inch spacing, so each sensor is 40 inches, so sensor here, sensor here. This bracket has 3, so 1, 2, 3. And then each sensor runs 4 nozzles. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in 10-inch spacing, which is where you get your 40 inches. Make sense? Good, I'm glad you guys are still with me. So we're kind of trying to figure out what we want to do today because it's kind of rainy and snowy outside. We're debating whether we want to pull these outside and hook them onto the brute or let it sit a day and let things warm up outside and then pull them outside and hook them on the brute. But I think that's where we're sitting is the booms need to go on the brute. All right, boss man spoke. Well, he doesn't speak a lot these days, but he spoke and he said, get these booms out. So we're getting the booms out. So we're gonna do like we did before, cherry picker on this end, because that looks obviously strong enough to lift all that. And then he had an excellent idea. I don't know why I didn't think of this the first time, but he was playing at his house and he wasn't here to tell us, but now he's here. So we're gonna use the...
This thing's not working. Why do these things always give us...
They'll figure it out. Boom truck. We've got that digger derrick. That worked perfect. You guys will see. But we're gonna hook that on the front of these and drive it out because the problem we had the first time is these breakaways in the front, they're not strong enough to lift the boom on it. That's just the, the way it's attached here is just to give it some chance so it can flop out of the way if you happen to hit a power pole or something like that. So, but we're gonna hook this joint right here because this is strong on the secondary. Boom truck, Boom will go over, attach. It's gonna be beautiful. So you'll see. How's the fish doing? No, not you fish, these fish. There we go. Oh yeah, gassers are great. Is that out of the red? Can you guys tell? Yeah, it's close enough. All right, PTO on. It's struggling a little bit. There we go. Okay, we got hydraulics. Now we got to extend the digger derrick out.
So we got the skid steer outside, and once we get the booms out with the cherry picker from that end, we'll drop the boom down, bring the skid steer in, hook onto it, and then that way at least we can drive it out. Now Nick's getting, oh, Nick's over there. He was getting the truck ready.
You're always on your camera.
Not enough. Not enough these days. Did you get the boom extended? Nope.
I don't think it's got hydraulic oil.
What? I just used it.
I don't know. I mean, the dipstick shows nothing on the tank. I can't see down because it's got the screen, but there's 0 hydraulics, even though the PTO is running.
Okay.
So we'll gotta
All right.
investigate.
Well, huh, interesting.
So I'm gonna grab a bucket of oil.
Okay. It's really bizarre because we used it to take the crane off with a bud and everything worked just fine. Okay. Well, there's always a first for something. Hydraulics are just cold, so rev the engine a little bit and then it starts slowly working. But he's adding oil into it, which is fine because it's down a little bit. But I think this will work fairly well to get that boom out. Well, keyword booms, because there's 2 of them, so. Anyways, a little sloppy out here, sticking to my shoes. Yeah, gotta love this time of year because everything's just really sticky and muddy. Okay, well, I guess we could just see what happens.
Where'd I put my camera?
You put it on the back of, over by the controls on the truck. It's sitting right next to it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we lose our cameras all the time.
Okay, we're taking the first one out. I'd call it winging it.
All right, boom number 2. One's out, 1 to go. Well, that works slick. Minus we had a little bit of hydraulic issues. There's a solenoid with some type of valve on the digger derrick that's sticking and it wouldn't let the winch go back up and down. But we finally got it to work for a little bit, so we're good. So now we got half of a shop opened up. So we're gonna move the brute to the other side, the large side this side, and then I think we might start messing with wheels because we got some new rubber to put on that bad boy. And some of you guys told us that the axle isn't probably bent. It's probably the kingpin, or not the kingpin, kingpin, and then the bushings. So we're gonna take these wheels apart and see if it needs rebuilt, because going 50 miles an hour down the road wouldn't be a bad idea to make sure that's in top shape. Oh, those are some big old tires. Whew. Look at all that rubber. Nice. We're looking for slop right now, and it definitely has some vertical slop up and down.
Yeah, you can put your finger here.
Well, you can see it. You can see it.
But we're
Kind
wondering,
of going up and down.
it probably needs replaced.
The pin is also
So
going up and down.
what's going on, and I said this in a previous video, I'll show you, they're gone. So I guess like, oh, this one here, it's right here. If you look on these tires, it's wearing the inside lugs off, but the outside are not, because if you look at the camber of the wheel, it's kind of like this, kind of like that. So what's happened is both these are tipped inward, and it's causing wear on the wheel. So the kit, we found it, and we put a new pin in and bushings, and if we did that, it'd probably tighten it all up, and you'd probably stop wearing out your expensive tires. So should we do it? What do you guys think? You can make leg arms pay for it.
So to fix that slop up and down is these pins right here. So there's a washer, bushing of some sort on both sides.
Well, that's probably what the slop
That's
up and
the
down
slop
is.
and down. Then you got your bushing right here, and then you got your kingpin, and then you see this bolt here.
Mm-hmm.
That bolt you pull out, and that's the hole inside that pin, and then the pin just slides right out. So to remove the pin, you just take the bolt out, and then the pin just slides out once you take the caps
Up or
off.
down probably doesn't matter.
It wouldn't matter.
What's this? That's the bushing right there, the one.
That's the bushing. So they call it a repair kit, and the repair kit itself is $1,200.
All right.
Yeah, that's what you
It's still time. They're open. I can call. See if they can see when they can get them. All right, we talked about it, and we're gonna hold off because, well, seating's coming real soon here. We got the weed system we got to put on. We don't really want this truck sitting down for a bit. It's about a week out from getting the parts. They can get them. It's just about a week out. So what we'll probably do is put her all back together again. We can order the parts and have them sit on the shelf, and then maybe next fall we'll tackle that because it's not like it's gonna break apart. It's just a little rubber wear off the tire. How many years have we been running this thing? 4 years? 5 years?
No, I don't think it's been
The
five.
three?
17, wasn't it?
17?
16 or 17.
So that's, yeah, 5 or 6 years. So it's that much,
Wow.
we've got that much use on it, and it's got that much wear on the tires. So we can get one season. So put her back together.
couple here. Here's some, yeah, there's some air coming out right there, I think. Right there.
One down, another front one to go. They just got the wheel off, the old one, put the new one on, and we're just about to start the process of putting the rubber on that. And then we'll break for lunch. And the back monsters. Let's do. And there's number 2. It does look significantly better than these BKTs. Not that that's a bad tread, but that looks more like a Brute to me. So now a little bit about these. These are the Goodyear Optitorques, and there's some unique features that makes this ideal for the front wheels on a floater truck style vehicle. So with that, it's the continuous arc lug design. See how there's a long crescent moon shape like that? That highly improves on wear, and combined with the wide grooves creates a self-cleaning pattern to help kick out debris as you're going down a muddy situation. So you hopefully won't pack your front wheels full of mud, as well as lower the wear. They're not as aggressive. They're a little bit lower lug depth, so that way you're not chewing up your crop or taking corners and whatnot. And it's a wider footprint, so you're putting a little more pounds per square footage down, square inches, whatever it may be, you know. So that way you're not putting a lot of weight down on one crop or another. So we're excited to run them. I think it was meant to be on this truck. Now for the back. So what we're doing back here, we've got a porta power. Leg arms is conveniently pumping. And it's pushing the bead off the back. And then we take the bead breaker, which is this guy, and we make enough of a gap doing this, we can grab the bead breaker, pinch on the side of the bead there, and shove it as much. And then we rotate the tire and keep working ourselves around to hopefully get this to break free, because it's been a while since this tires come off this rim. So it's a little stiff. Yay!
Got it.
All right, pallet jack. Yes, yeah. That's what we need. Dual it up on the back. Oh yeah, that's a good look. We should do it right there, yes. Oh, no, never mind. Fine. It won't hit that, don't worry. Turn it. There we go. A lot of mass for these tires. Look at that wear spot from riding on the paved roads. I think that's why it is.
I think Nick's just overdriving it. That's why there's a wear spot. Or I'm riding on there and it's wearing on one side.
No, I seen him. This is on the outside, and he goes like around the corners, 2 wheels at a time, front and back on one side. Drifty.
There we go. One of the rears is on, and it's got 17 pounds in it, and so far no bubbles. Now that's gonna make a nice spare. This is the older version of the Goodyear. This one's called the Terra tire, and it's not metric size. 16 ply, similar tread pattern. Obviously wore down quite a bit considering its younger brother here, the Optitorque. These ones are radials, and we can run the pressure quite a bit lower. So I think I was told about 17 PSI around the board on this thing. We'll play with it, but gonna be exciting to run these at 30 miles an hour max, because it doesn't ever go 50. Whoa, 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 whoa. It says I can go 40. All right, we'll keep it at 40, plus 10. He's just moving it like that, be rough.
So right now, Nick's welding on the rim. I know it's scary, but we found a crack almost all the way around. Somebody before us welded it from the other side, but they never welded this side. So we thought, you know, we're here. Let's just go ahead and glue this. We ground it out, made it clean, and he's welding it, and it won't interfere with the seat on that tire. But if we're gonna, peace of mind is what we're doing right now. So if you're driving down the road, at least we don't have to worry about it cracking and breaking apart. So chances are it probably won't. Anyways, figured better get it now. But yeah, Nick's welding. Ooh. Good morning. It is a beautiful Monday morning, and it is just about ready to start seeding. But what we need to do, we need to take the brood out and hook it onto these booms and get these booms out of the yard. And I don't think we'll be messing with the brood as much unless it starts getting rainy or we get caught up, or if we're not able to seed, then we'll start messing with it.
Guess we're at a point, we're ready to put the booms on, so we're gonna take it outside. Booms are ready. Get the boom truck. A lot of booms. Skid steer, and we're gonna see if we can get these things mounted on here. Now, we might have to put a hold to this project because spring planting is about to begin. The weather outside's looking good, the ground's warming up, the mud's disappearing. So I think we're gonna change gears and focus on getting the seed in the ground, and then we'll come back and tackle this. But for now, let's get these booms on.
Okay, I think we get this boom on pretty easy. We'll have to probably extend this cylinder quite a ways to get it to hook up here, but that's okay. Sweet. Okay, good deal.
Check it out. They are attached and fully hung up in the air. So we're not quite done yet with getting these hooked up. We don't have the right fittings. These hydraulic ends are a little different. They're like a flat face with an O-ring. We need a JIC end to connect to our valve body there. So, like Arms is in town taking care of that. He's finding the right parts. I can still raise this up, wing it up. We just can't wing it inward. So I'll get over from the shop, get closer, but like we said before, everything's still loose on here. Nothing's been tightened up, it's all loose. But we'll get this thing, hydraulics working, get it all set. And if we decide to call it quits on this and change gears to seeding operation, which we 99.9% chance that's gonna happen, we'll find a good spot to park this thing and just leave it out like this until we're ready to get back to it. That's so cool. That's gonna be fun, guys. I'm excited, excited.
Okay, the moment of truth. Do we get those reversed, or are they hooked up correctly for the switches? So he's going to drive it ahead so that because they fold back. So we'll go ahead and fold them back.
But here's how we're sitting. It wung up great. We got the air out of the system when when the first time we wung her up. When air's in hydraulics, it causes things to move way faster than they should have. So the boom swung in tight, which I wondered if it wouldn't slap the side here, and well, all that loose hardware that we had shook up a whole bunch of nuts and bolts all over the ground. So we got all that tightened back up. We still got to loosen it all up and move stuff all around when it comes time to put the actual sensors on and get it all lined. But for now, it's tight, so nothing's gonna rain on the ground. But now we're just like, well, let's just wing her in and see what happens. And we just kind of lightly wung it up, and the original boom cradle might actually work with a really light adjustment. The problem is, because these booms are longer, exhaust is in the way. So we're gonna pull the exhaust off, and I think we're also gonna have to cut this pipe that holds the exhaust off. So we'll get the saws out here and chop that off, because this whole bracket's gonna be redone anyways. We're not sure how we're gonna do the exhaust yet. Whether we lay it on its side, keep it upright, run it up into the cab, so that way you don't breathe as much oxygen, or on the ground. So we'll pull it off, see where we're sitting. While that's coming off, I'm gonna show you something that I had to do, which it's kind of sad, but I had to do it. These burn marks. So this hood was cracking. There was hairline cracks running up the side. In the corners here, all across there. The previous life of this hood, when it was down in Texas, had a lot of salt damage and it thinned out a lot of this metal, and I think over time it's fatiguing, especially in spraying. There's just different movements with this truck. Well, these cracks, you can see. So the only thing we could do was we had to weld more iron under there to straighten that. So I put some 1/4 inch by inch angle iron and laid it in the inside and welded it all along thing, but of course it burned through the paint and it messed up the decals a little bit in a couple spots. So we got to get some paint match, and I'll clean up that paint, repaint it, and maybe even have some new decals made. But I guess it's a good time to add 435 or 425 120, right? We'll see. But until then, minor details. You want to walk down with that, or you want me to?
Now that we actually have tread on these tires.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be kids.
We're getting rid of the emissions.